Hi, this is Brad Silberling, and after, close to 2 years, several hundred cancellations, and just a whole lot of lack of consideration, I'm finally told I'm going to meet Mr. Snicket.
Hello, I'm Lemony Snicket, and I've been dragged into this dark room after hearing for the first time that they've made some sort of a film from my dreadful books. Hopefully, in the Hollywood tradition, they've altered the film somewhat so that it will be a lot more cheerful than the books I've written.
I think I'm going to do my best to elucidate those fears. Beginning with, were you aware that a company called Nickelodeon had anything to do with this film?
No, they're located on another planet, I see.
Absolutely. Basically purveyors of...
Oh, look at this. Looks quite charming.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have altered the film. Thank goodness. I was worried that this would be a depressing motion picture, and I'm not sure I could stand it. Oh, look how charming that is, with a bear hugging a deer.
Some remarkable animation. We did think that... we hope you're comfortable with the license we took.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's the littlest elf. Now, this is a character who's so appropriate for children's film, and I'm grateful to see. Oh, look how charming he is. Oh, and he has friends, well-armed friends of some sort. This is all splendid.
Yes.
I was really concerned that the film would be dark in some way, but now
I'm sorry to say that this is not the movie you will be watching.
Yeah, we had to make some changes.
Oh.
The movie you are about to see is extremely unpleasant.
Oh, no. This is terrible.
Now, I'm a little disturbed because I'm realizing that, well, the likeness here, now that I'm finally in a room, but it's awfully dark in here. I can't quite... Was that you, actually, when we were working?
I have walked in a cemetery and along the shores of a beach, and I was often nervous there was someone watching me, so perhaps that's actual footage.
Yeah,
of me.
It's interesting because each day when I was placing Mr. Snicket on the call sheet, I did think that maybe he was simply being tardy, but somehow they would suddenly say he's on set, and I don't understand. It's strange that somebody can carry their own silhouette, but you seem to have that power. You just do not photograph.
Well, that's a very strange accusation, which I'm going to ignore. So this is the actress playing Violet.
This is this is a young woman named Emily Browning. That is a young man named Liam Aiken. From what little research we could cobble together, we thought this was appropriate casting. Does this end up feeling like a documentary to you at this point?
Well, a little bit. I'm glad that you have chosen not to tell the truth about the Baudelaires in terms of their parents having died in a terrible fire, and instead turned it into a film about three siblings who live happily ever after in a house that's not quite as cheerful as an elf in a forest, but I'm glad that you've made that choice.
Yeah, we hit several points in the story structuring process where we thought there were opportunities to sort of lighten up the picture.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine a film that would accurately portray... Look, they're having a wonderful time, and now they're at the beach. Would that mean that Mr. Poe is...
That's who that was.
Oh, no. You're not... You didn't actually film the scene where the children learn...
I'm afraid... Well, I was told to tell you we didn't, but...
Children, I'm afraid I must inform you of an extremely unfortunate event.
Oh, no.
I'm very, very sorry.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, this is dreadful.
Yeah.
Why would you make such a film?
By accident. We certainly headed out with...
You accidentally pointed a camera in the direction of actors who were reciting dialogue about terrible things? I find that very hard to believe, even from the likes of Paramount Pictures and DreamWorks and
Well, and Nickelodeon, yes, exactly. Between the
however interplanetary they are.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, this is dreadful.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
This was originally, I have to tell you, too, planned to be photographed on a soundstage, but I didn't find it credible enough. We needed to go and torch a mansion, and so I hope it's to your liking.
I can't imagine how you found a mansion in Hollywood. Oh, this is... Oh.
Yeah. Silhouettes. Again, there was a...
It's interesting because the true Baudelaire parents rarely stood in profile. They usually faced the people they loved. Oh, this is dreadful.
Yeah. It's very hard to hear this when you're trying to prepare a film as a filmmaker. You do your best to research and to I think to try to accurately portray them. Your criticism is heard. I'm sorry to hear about that. So,
and now you're publicizing a secret organization, apparently, in the realm of a film. Should we review the definition of the word secret?
Yeah, again...
Providing clues to a sinister conspiracy, burning down a mansion. Oh, this is just dreadful. I can only hope that people who are listening to this DVD commentary are expecting us to drown out the miserable dialogue of the actual film. Mm-hmm. Perhaps we should talk about something cheerful, actually, in order to alleviate the depression of anyone who would be accidentally watching this dreadful film. Nice weather we've been having lately, isn't it?
Quite nice. Doesn't seem to be likely to change in Los Angeles.
You know what I love is a basket of kittens. There's something when a basket of kittens is portrayed, it's just a wonderful thing to see. And I hope that people who are listening to this will turn off this film and go purchase or otherwise procure a basket of kittens for their enjoyment.
Awfully inexpensive to photograph too. That makes for some good filmmaking possibilities. Yeah. I perhaps I'll make you feel better. We decided to make the film a short, and actually
so it's almost over.
It's almost over. Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Mr. Poe, as I understood his character from your books, he's an omniscient, quite remarkably thoughtful, well-read man who...
I don't think you've read these books at all, which on one hand is good for your emotional health, but on the other hand, if you're actually trying to recreate what actually happened to the Baudelaires, I can't imagine that you think Mr. Poe would be at all apt.
Oh,
Rather, he would be inept.
Inept? Oh, I thought he... wow. Okay, I'm a little confused because...
This is Justice Strauss, I assume she's...
It's interesting.
Quite charming. I hope you change the plot that they go and live with her.
Well, actually, we thought, again, to make it a good short film, that she would invite them to join in her gardening and take the rooms in her home, and we'd be done.
Oh, thank goodness.
Well, until we realized we had more soundstage to fill, and yep, we built that.
Oh, why? It is an architectural and moral horror.
Yeah.
I agree with Sonny that the Baudelaires would be better off sleeping outside rather than even entering that set. Hopefully the camera won't bring us any closer.
Yeah. We had a production designer, a fellow named Rick Heinrichs, who never did graduate from Cal Arts, and...
Oh, no!
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that is not the silhouette I fear it is.
Well, I can tell you... Well, yeah, unfortunately, it's very true. It's very difficult not to want to explore the homes of tremendously failed actors, and so I had to keep making the story at this point. You'll note the great portrait. Oh, well, yeah.
Oh.
I am your beloved
Beloved? Oh, dear Lord.
Welcome to my loverly home.
Yeah, this is the part that must feel like a documentary.
Within the womb-like warmth of its...
There was an actor, fellow named Jim Carrey, who was supposed to take on the role. He was...
Why? Why would an actor with the alleged talent of Mr. Carey agree to take on such a dismal role?
Well, I think there's a bit of a sadist in every great actor in Hollywood. Most directors feel that. And I think the opportunity to denigrate some young lives, I think was something that Jim couldn't pass up. But we struggled a bit in the makeup process, and somebody subbed in the night before. Somebody who simply checked into the studio security with Count O. And I wondered, because Jim's a pretty good guy, and the actor I worked with for the rest of the show was really a frolicking kind of pain in the ass.
So you were telling me that either this is the actual Count Olaf or that Jim Carrey completely lost his mind shortly before the filming of the motion picture.
Yeah, which he's never, ever done before in his career.
Well, people tend only to lose their mind once.
Guess that would be true. So...
What a terrible...
Now, are you
terrible villain to put on screen. I can't imagine why anyone would do that, and I would like to offer my apologies to anyone who happened to view this film, whether they came in from the rain and entered a motion picture theater and didn't know what was showing, or who now, for some reason, are being held captive in front of a VHS or DVD player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I refused the Betamax format, so they're at least safe there. Now, are you aware? My question, I guess, is I'm a little worried at this point. Is Count Olaf? Is he
a terrible villain? Yes. Is he a greedy monster? Yes. Is he unhealthy and unkempt? Yes. And is he on screen? Yes. I am completely mystified why anyone would want to do such a thing.
And I didn't know he was not a member of SAG.
I hope that the story changes here and that Mr. Poe rescues the children from Count Olaf, and then the film, which you claim was short, is over. Yeah,
it is a short. All the actors were certainly contracted for a short. They were paid for a short.
Oh, he has his hat on.
Just a mere piece of comfort for a moment.
He's not going to leave without them, is he?
Oh, well.
Oh, come back! Is it an interactive film? Come back, please. I beg of you.
No. The actor, unfortunately, is British. He had a work visa issue. We had to get him back.
Oh.
But I do believe he's going to return. Now, what is... Okay, you have to explain this to me. What is with... Rick Heinrichs and I spoke often about eyes and Count Olaf.
You often spoke with people involved in the film about eyes and Count Olaf. I think you should have focused on your work. No wonder the set is such a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, we
people don't like to see depressing homes on film.
No.
People like to see cheerful, shiny places, I would imagine.
Were you there for our test process?
Certainly not.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I heard some of the same comments. Yeah.
Oh, look, so many terrible, terrible places within one home.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult. It's difficult when you've been had by your own production design department. I was told, in fact, that...
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, I was frightened for a moment. You were saying?
Oh, just simply that promises of Tuscan light and oh, here we go. Sure, a setting of a fine retreat. Well, this is what we came up with.
Oh.
For instance, Klaus, when Sonny was born, didn't like her at all. But by the time she was 6 weeks old, the two of them were thick as thieves.
Now, this is more or less true. This flashback regards to the Baudelaire children, except that Sonny, of course, was an actual person rather than a computer program that we just saw there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you telling me that there was nobody there when I was shooting that moment? The spindle was just caught in midair? That it was a piece of Hollywood trickery?
That's what I suspect,
wow.
Yes.
Okay, you're right.
You know, the people who were responsible for building the sets should have cleaned the dishes themselves. I think that's more proper than forcing these poor actors already suffering enough playing the Baudelaires.
Yeah.
At least his troupe isn't in the film. That is one consolation that I have. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God in heaven.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that?
Well, again, they did say they were SAG.
Is that Jennifer Coolidge? That's Jane Addams? Talented people
Sadists.
Throwing their careers away?
Yeah. Yeah. All sadists. Again, common link, sadism, actors. They offered to do the picture for free if they could be part of abusing the Baudelaires.
This is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The fellow on the right, who said he wished to be the hook-handed man, a fellow named Jamie Harris. And again, there's a tremendous streak of sadism within the Harris family, but we don't talk about that. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Cheryl Karasik and her crew really fell down on the job. We were supposed to have a pesticide check before doing the scene.
Oh, an infant let near a bat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hollywood is indeed at least 5 times as bad as I had been told.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I quite believed Count Olaf when he did say that he had done... was he indeed in Titanic?
Count Olaf?
Yeah.
Not that I am aware of, but I don't go to the pictures mostly because of the exact kind of degradation we're seeing on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Occasionally, if there's a festival of films by Carol Reed or Alfred Hitchcock or Guy Madden, I would attend. But most modern films I find are dedicated to this sort of depressing spectacle that I'm seeing before me. Can you imagine young people being forced to work in the kitchen? Young people working in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I only got to work them for 13 hours. I wanted to work them longer. Just didn't quite go that way. But we did let them make Italian food, though. Yeah, there we go.
So, scenes in which children are forced to cook are interspersed with scenes in which Jim Carrey playing Count Olaf, or possibly Count Olaf playing Count Olaf, is improvising in a theatrical mode.
Yeah, we just thought for sure. That's just a sure slam hit in Hollywood. Absolutely. And I hate to say it, but as we speak, as I meet you here finally, the film is opened. And do you find it depressing that...
I'm depressed looking at this right now.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine why anyone would have wanted to make a film about the Baudelaire children, let alone one that is so largely accurate.
Yeah. Accurate. Good. Every filmmaker likes to know that he's created very accurate pain. Definitely. And Puttanesca, of course.
Don't you think a short instructional film on making puttanesca sauce would have been a much more pleasant thing to find in theaters? A short history of roasted garlic, interviews with anchovy fishermen, an investigation into what a caper is. All that would have been, I think, much more pleasant than this scene.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid that might have been a little too edgy, and the studio was concerned about trying to strike a balance with the film. They kept saying strike a balance. So, I think we ended up with something that's kind of light. I see light in the corner of this frame. You can ignore the fact that Count Olaf is now encroaching on the kids. And one thing you can be assured of, I promised everybody that unlike in your tale, there would be no children struck or abused. So as we watch the scene further...
that is a relief because, of course, in this scene in my book, The Bad Beginning, there's a strike across the face that Count Olaf does to Klaus, and I just hate to think that such a thing would be shown on film.
No, absolutely not. And Sonny did have a temper. This was completely improvised. Yeah, exactly. But as I say, with great reassurance to everybody that I promised I would not have any corporal punishment in the film.
Dear! Now he's lifting the... Oh, my lord!
Well,
it is you who are the monster, Mr. Silberling, for allowing that sort of violence on screen. I would like to apologize to everyone who is seeing this film. I had no idea the level of violence and humiliation and unpleasantries and inconveniences that would be brought to the silver screen. I was assured, as all authors are assured, that their work would be made much more cheerful and predictable.
Yeah, I think it's one of my failings in the film.
Your failings so far, and we're scarcely into this film that you allege is short, are too numerous to mention.
Yeah, that's what every film director wishes to hear.
Mr. Aiken, Liam Aiken,
Yes.
playing Klaus Baudelaire, is going to jump out a window rather than appear in the film any further.
Yeah. I think this was the day that they did discover that the 20-page script had been violated, and we were now on to about the 35th page.
Oh, dear.
But listen, it's what happens. I think the phrase is get everybody just a little pregnant, and as a filmmaker, you learn that, whatever it takes, you do. So if it meant...
your Machiavellian strategy has certainly worked for you. I can't imagine how horrified these children must have felt to be locked in the room of the set. No wonder they're bickering.
Yeah.
The Baudelaires, of course, themselves rarely bickered in their real lives, but I can't blame these actors for getting testy with one another, ever being forced to appear in such a dreadful piece of work.
Well, it's interesting. You say that. Often I'll use that phrase, and many directors do, which is you say to the actor, use it. And maybe you're right. This was a day they were very, very testy.
What horrible device, I shudder to think, were you handing them when you asked them to use it? A machete? A revolver? A vial of insulin?
Just that short screenplay that they'd been promised would not be violated. Interesting. Do you end up having a sensation of, other than just pure revilement, of shock at this point to see the story translated as it is?
I'm so horrified that anyone would make such a motion picture. I cannot really pause to think of the details of the story.
Again, the profiles, I apologize.
Yes, and I understand they've made a small tent in which they are pretending to be under the somewhat distant gaze of the parents. The parents actually seem to be gazing at one another, but I imagine that the Baudelaires are imagining.
Right.
What is... Oh, the cold, hard arm of the law.
Yeah, and such bad top hats. Yeah. Now, I'll have to apologize in advance for the product placement. It's pretty bald, and it's... But there is a branding issue that most filmmakers walk straight into. And
I can't imagine that anyone who manufactured anything would want their products displayed in this film.
Yeah, you would think not, and certainly if you were going to search for placement, you wouldn't want it to be in a scene of incredibly threatened violence.
I'm not familiar with what this scene is.
I was going to ask you about that very question. The bad beginning.
This looks like a dramatization of The Last Chance General Store, which of course is not in The Bad Beginning.
No, you can just pretend you didn't see that.
I think I'm going to pretend this entire afternoon never took place.
Yeah.
Where'd the locks go?
Inheritance law and you.
Yes. Yeah. Just professions of incredibly insincere love, and train schedules, and I guess
train schedules. What?
Yeah, I guess I figure, what's the phrase? Going off book. I think we thought if we were going to go off book, let's go big. And what bigger way than putting the kids on a train track?
Oh, no. I've just realized what is going to happen. What a horrifying end to a short film.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's even worse, actually, than anything that actually occurred to the Baudelaires, to be run over by a train.
Yeah. Well, there's a phrase in Hollywood, you got to put your stars in cars. And we thought we would...
And is this the product placement?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, actually.
No, that's the Littlest Elf is the most charming part of this film so far.
Well, we thought...
But it's not enough to mitigate what is happening to these poor actors.
I will cut back to it again, though. And,
were the actors actually run over by a train as well?
Well, you have to give everybody motivation, and you certainly can't tell them they're not going to be. Rick Heinrichs built a credible enough set here, 360 degrees, so that when we did actually bring that train over from the Union Pacific line just for the afternoon, yeah, you can see it did the trick. Emily's a good actress. She's not this good. You're seeing genuine fear here. I'm very proud of...
You're seeing genuine fear right here on my face.
Yeah, it's all worth it. This is what a filmmaker lives for. See, Poe, it's just...
I can't stand it.
Yeah. There we go. Absolutely. And interesting how Klaus, there we go, Klaus Baudelaire, young man who reads and reads and reads, and yet we barely get a chance to see that on screen, so we get to at least pour into his brain. Interesting. Now, we're...
Well, I suppose if this were an honestly realistic picture, then the Baudelaires would be clever enough to evade their situation, but I can't imagine how.
No. And again, I did want to
I'm
make
glad that I'm not right now locked in a car with a train riding toward me, but instead are just watching a dismal motion picture.
Yeah. Well, again, a short film. I wanted a fiery climax. But then the kids decided to do this. I don't know why. They kept saying, what would Violet do? What would Violet do? Got to be a little irritating, and so then they just...
Violet would refuse a theatrical career. And the head of an elf, I must confess, I'm hopelessly befuddled. I don't know what these children are doing, but I hope it works. I hope that they're not... Oh, of course, they're trying to reach that switch. Are they going to reach it in time? I don't know.
Well, I don't really remember. We shot this early in our schedule, and... I was much more focused on...
You don't remember? Please, someone help me. I'm being held prisoner by an amnesiac director of dismal films.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
It looks like it might work.
I can't remember, but oh boy, I can't remember. That's right. Jim was reading the drama log with Lon Chaney, and the train did... God, I think it broke. I think her line broke. Wait, did it?
I can't watch. I'm covering my eyes.
No, that's right. She did do it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, I would hate to think of that poor Ms. Browning and Mr. Aiken and the Ms. Hoffman and Ms. Hoffman both being slaughtered by a train.
Well, and what about the car? My transportation department would have been furious. That was a one-of-a-kind... Yeah, absolutely.
You're a cold-hearted man.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And speaking of cars, Mr. Poe, quite a ride he's got there. I don't know if you've ever been to Czechoslovakia, but anyway.
Many times.
Yeah. Yeah. So
the character of Mr. Poe or Mr. What did you say his name was?
He on the call sheet was known as Spall, Timothy Spall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Timothy Spall, another actor throwing his career away to appear in this film. And so the character of Mr. Poe has removed the children from Count Olaf. So despite some real horror in the middle, the film ends quite happily,
That's
I would
right.
say.
Exactly right. We'll have some crocodile tears. You always need a nice, big, beautiful sunlit establishing shot, final, good setup for the end credits. Now,
well, it has been a dismal film, but at least it's over now, and
Sure.
I think we can all experience a sense of relief that at least the story of the Baudelaires and what happened to, say, Dr. Montgomery is not contained within the film. It is a profound
we couldn't afford
relief to me.
Oh, God, we did do it. Yeah, I forgot. That was the month of February and March.
Oh.
It's all coming back to me now. That's right. was shot in a garden, and I think there were snakes involved. Herpetologist.
Oh, look, it's a portrayal of Montgomery by noted actor and, I believe, comedian Billy Connolly.
Well, sure, he tried to act, and I laughed quite a bit. So I guess that would mean he was a comedian.
Well, I think the appearance of a comic actor, unlike some of the more serious dramatic players, such as Mr. Carey and Mr. Spall, would indicate that at least the version of what happened to the Baudelaires with Montgomery has been quite softened, and that Montgomery will have a very long and happy life, hopefully portrayed entirely on film.
Yeah. We thought that, again, to create the perfect ending for a short film, he could bring them into his home and give them hugs and snacks at the door, and that we could wrap it up right here. Nice image of a giant turtle, a very continent turtle, by the way. Did not have diarrhea when we were shooting at all. So
well, that's a relief to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd wrap it up right here. That was the thought.
Excellent. Well,
Great.
It was quite terrible to see the film, but I'm relieved at last that it's over. Why does it keep continuing?
I forgot we did this too.
Have you no shame, sir?
Yeah.
Have you no decency whatsoever, Mr. Silberling,
Well,
to make this kind of film?
I told them it would be quite cheap, actually, to construct this set, and Rick Heinrichs and my cinematographer, they were willing to share that.
Trying to blame people like Rick Heinrich for the terrible work that you have done makes you all the more a cad.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Why would anyone want to gaze upon such sinister reptiles?
Well, having done my market research, we had learned that, let's see, reptiles, rather soft and cute bunnies. We didn't have the bunnies, but we found quite a few reptiles. But I couldn't afford something you had written about in what was there was a character you wrote about in the reptile room. It was some sort of a viper.
Oh, the incredibly deadly viper. Surely you wouldn't portray such a snake on stage for the world to see.
Couldn't find one, actually.
That is relief. I noticed a shot of that cage, but at least there's nothing in it.
No, it was
sort of mysterious to film.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't find one, but
my Lord!
I made one.
I need to lie down.
Yeah, I did have to make one. That's right. It's all coming back now. Yeah, there he is again. He's kind of cute, though, I think. I'm
going to cover my eyes for the next few minutes to get over the sight of that snake. That was just terrible.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the fact that the tears you see.
I see no tears.
If you just remove your hand from your...
I'm not going to. I need to recuperate for several minutes from that dreadful sight that you are responsible for me seeing.
Yeah. Well, I think you feel most proud as a director when you don't need to encourage actors to have a method, to have, a sense memory. I think you want to make a visceral experience for them. And I don't know, all I can tell you is any of you viewers at home going back on your DVD, hitting that nice frame-by-frame control that you have, if you look at the tears leaping from young Sonny Baudelaire's face as the incredibly deadly viper exits the cage, those are pretty genuine. And I've promised to cover...
I should hope that any tears uttered by the actors in this film would be genuine. Tears at having made a disastrous career choice and to find themselves in such a predicament as being in this film, of which Brad Silberling is the director, and thus Brad Silberling holds primary responsibility for the overall dismal quality of the motion picture. And now I'm going to take my hands off my eyes and see if there's anything that gets better. Oh, an auto harp.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if people would know what it was, so I printed that there. There is some coconut cake in the scene, a couldn't find any chocolate cake, but I know it was chocolate cake that you had written about, and I apologize.
No, it was coconut cake. I don't think you've read these books.
I've had them covered. I always find that works for me. Yeah, and again, research snakes. Snakes are big, so make sure to have a snake on the actor at all times. Young actress.
Now they're telling some stories about the Baudelaire parents that actually aren't true, but they seem such a relief after the dismal
Yeah. Is it true that
villains that you have been portraying?
Yeah. Is it true that there were threats made to? There was a screenwriter named Bob Gordon who I know came in and purported to at least contribute to the writing process. Anything true to the mail threats?
I think the less said about the screenwriter of this film, the better. I'm grateful for any changes that any screenwriter made to make the film a bit more cheerful.
Yes.
Even if they reveal complete dishonesties about the personal history of Montgomery or the Baudelaires or anyone else for that matter.
Well, that's why I decided to end the film here, and Bob was happy to help me.
Well, once again, it is a relief that such a film is over. It was mostly dreadful, but at least short.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, final scene, pretty
well,
pictures.
Well, good day, sir. I don't think it was a pleasure to meet you, but nevertheless, I'm grateful.
Right, and here's
some alleged silhouette of me for the end credits, I guess.
That's right, exactly, wrapping up the tale.
I'm just going to try to take these handcuffs off and leave, and one last shot of the door apparently is ending the film.
Smiles.
Baudelaires are walking in slow motion for reasons I cannot imagine. And hopefully Santa Claus is...
Yeah.
Why did you continue to make this film?
Well...
is not 1 1/2 books enough for you?
No. We thought we have the stage. I had a lot more film left. Had a crew who were looking at me, wondering if we were done. But I don't know. I just thought we're here. We've got the materials. And this fellow, again, Jim Carrey disappeared. I think he'd gone off to Hawaii at this point. But some fellow with absolutely no ethnicity about him, described himself as Stefano, showed up. But that's okay, because I apologize again. I know there was no Stefano in your... Well,
no, there was no Stefano for the simple reason that Stefano is Count Olaf in disguise. And I believe this is Jim Carrey in disguise as Count Olaf in disguise of Stefano. And it is not, as you allege, Count Olaf in disguise as Jim Carrey in disguise of Count Olaf in disguise as Stefano.
Wow. I think that's what you must learn when you...
Oh, I cannot believe that Billy Connolly would fall for such foolishness.
I guess we all did. Well, sure, there's that. But I bought his story hook, line, and sinker. I mean, I was willing to commit the time to shoot this scene because of... I thought he was pretty convincing, actually. What is his mustache, though?
It is a disguise, you fool. Can't you see?
Huh. Interesting.
How can a filmmaker be as blind as you allegedly are?
Huh. Oh, it's quite easy, actually. Wow. I actually, the last film I made, I was blindfolded the whole time. I thought I would sort of do it intermittently on this one. But boy, I had no idea that was Jim. We should have paid him more money.
John Ford could see that was Jim Carrey disguised as Count Olaf, disguised as Stefano. Helen Keller could see it. Ray Charles could see it. Were he still alive?
Huh. John Ford, I wonder if he worked with Jim. I'll have to ask Jim that. Jim had a career, of course, before comedy. I think he did do some westerns. So now the kids,
forced to carry luggage.
Yeah.
That's even worse than working in the kitchen or almost being run over by a train.
And forced to work in silhouette, too. It's a rude thing for young actors. For those of you out there who don't know, most stage moms, stage dads, they just live for the moments where their kids are in color and well lit, and I do tend to put them in silhouette. Now, again, another scene with this guy that I did not know is Jim. I am just floored. I'm really floored. Huh. So tell me about this Stefano then, if you would, Mr. Snicket. Now that I'm realizing that...
Well, anyone who has the bravery to read one of my books entitled The Reptile Room would know that Stefano is just simply a fake name used by Count Olaf in order to gain entrance into Dr. Montgomery's home, in order to get his greedy and unkempt hands on the Baudelaire fortune. I cannot imagine that you would not know that, which means that you are either an amnesiac, as I have accused you before, or are a treacherous person yourself.
Is it possible to be both? They both sound accurate, but, well, that's another consideration. Again, cute snakes. Oh, yeah, this one was a tattletale, though, I remember. Oh, yeah. And I don't know what he... Oh, that makes sense now, that it was Jim. Jim Carrey is Canadian. There was a very hockey-like motion that this actor kept making. I see that as Jim. You're right, it's Jim. It's Jim Carrey. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I cannot believe that you couldn't have fallen for it before. It's a perfectly transparent disguise.
Wow. No, I wondered, because we finished shooting with the Count Olaf character just after the holidays, and I never thought I saw him again. I mean, I worked with another actor. He'll be coming up later, a fellow who came in to be Captain Sham. But Jim was well gone at that point, long wrapped, and strange. Interesting. Now, your memories of well, then I guess you only saw the Reptile Room after its destruction. Then
yes, I was not lucky enough to be at the Reptile Room when the Baudelaires were there. I am sad that I never saw it in its grandest splendor.
Let's.
You know, herpetology, the study of snakes, has a number of drawbacks. Not only that it's usually something of a conversation killer at parties, but of course the toxic venoms and other slimy aspects of reptile life. But nothing, I think, is as toxic or as slimy as the character that Jim Carrey is playing here. And I hope that any impressionable young people who are watching this film are not driven to a life in snake studying unless they have the fortitude to watch out for any villains who may be lurking nearby. And villainy really is a problem throughout the world of science and most particularly the liberal arts.
We'll take that into consideration. That's great. I didn't realize that. That we were going to be offering heartfelt advice for our audience, but that's a
well. I think
an extra
the purposes of a film is to gain any insight or wisdom that can be gleaned. There isn't very much in this particular film simply because of the amount of violence and treachery that you seem to be portraying.
I don't understand why this would be a moment accused of. There's the fact that Uncle Monty did just. It's a vital story point. I thought it was a brave choice of yours in your book.
It was not a choice of mine. It was a choice of Count Olaf to murder Uncle Monty, and now to see it on film is almost more than I can bear. Why in the world would you do such a thing?
I promised I wouldn't show any of any actual. Well, there was the hand.
Oh,
yeah. And there was the cemetery. Yeah. Again, credibility. Every filmmaker wants to hang on to credibility, and I
trust you did not actually murder Billy Connolly.
Well, we haven't seen him in a while, and I'm kind of hoping it stays that way. Yeah, but the good thing is that Viper, which did scare you earlier, I do remember that we did have a very short. He had a term deal, they call it, where he only was willing to work with us for a couple of days. So the good
at
news
least
is
I'll never see that snake again, is
No.
what you were saying
No.
on the screen. That
No.
is a relief.
yeah, or any doctors who look like a hook-handed man. Never.
I noticed who the appearance of the actor who I believe is known as Cedric the Entertainer. Mr. the Entertainer is apparently playing some sort of police inspector.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters.
I like that you seem to have put more of a touch of justice in the film,
Yeah.
in the form of Mr. the Entertainer, and I am grateful for that, as there's very little justice, sadly, to be found in the tale of the Baudelaire orphans.
Yeah. I guess it was.
I do hope that means that the film is, in fact, finally over,
That's
and
right.
that this is the scene in which Count Olaf is
Wait, what is
arrested. What is...
Where would this man get
that? What is?
Where is Sonny?
Oh,
Where...
Oh my God! I forgot.
You promised me I would not see this. I'm going to... Oh, dear Lord in heaven.
Well, it'll be quick. That's one thing I can tell you. It'll be over very quickly. It wasn't a fair fight, but boy, I'm really glad I got it on film. It was
A fight?
yeah.
I shudder to think.
Well,
Now, I mean, it is a relief to me that the incredibly deadly viper is a harmless snake, but even so, I don't like to see such upsetting things on film.
the one thing
In a book is one thing where you can put the book down and you can bury it in your backyard and you can go on with your life as if you never read it. Oh, I'm shudder to... Oh!
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that. These social workers would not talk to me for several days.
I can't imagine why I don't believe social workers are ever put in charge of a computer facsimile.
Exactly. Well,
Oh,
it's just...
that was quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
And where...
Yeah, and once again, now I understand. If that
you
was
stayed
Jim...
true to the story, somewhat, at least, and had Count Olaf escape.
Yeah.
But while you may be praised in a documentary capacity, I don't think you can be praised in an emotional capacity. This is just a terrible film.
Well, but I thought it was a perfect way to end it.
It's over? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. We thought we would reprise the Little Estelle theme and be done with it.
I no longer believe you when you're telling me this film is over.
Oh, that's right. We did
And
stop.
sure enough, I seem to see some body of water that distinctly reminds me of Lake Lachrymose, but I cannot imagine. Oh, there's Damocles' duck. You filmed the entire story of The Wide Window?
Well, we were in Downey, California.
In Downey? What?
We were in Downey, California. We found some awfully large space, and
Sorry,
sure.
I was startled by the appearance of an eye.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not attached to any well-known actress. And I just took a show of hands with the crew saying, what should we build here? And everyone said, a tank in Lake Lachrymose. Oh, wait. No, Meryl was in the film too. Yeah, that's right.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
You,
She was briefly in the film.
speaking of people who ought to be ashamed of themselves,
Yeah.
as if Meryl Streep hasn't done enough harm to children in films such as Sophie's Choice, where she gives one of them to Nazis.
That was harsh.
Now she's trying to harm children further by playing the grammatically obsessed, overly nervous, and ultimately weak Aunt Josephine.
I thought those were her own choices. Are you telling me that that's an accurate portrayal? I thought this was Meryl just doing some interesting, creative backstorying for her character.
I wish you'd done more research before doing this film, although on the positive side, I guess I should be glad that you did not read the books more closely, as they're so utterly dismal that this film would be 10 times worse if it followed the correct story.
That's probably true.
I'm grateful that the bad beginning was truncated, so there's no wedding or theatrical performance, and that the reptile
Too
room
expensive.
also was made quite short, and that finally
Yeah.
the story of The Wide Window, I hope, is so short that it is about to be over.
We thought we would just make it a virtual house tour, and then and be done with it. So yeah, I as I understood it, and Josephine, at least this is what Meryl explained to me. she had always wanted to be a realtor, I guess. So I thought, let's simply end the film with a fine dramatization.
Aunt Josephine has a profound fear of realtors. Have you even glanced through any of these books that you turned into films?
Fear. Oh, okay. I think I missed that noun. I just understood realtors and Josephine, some connection there.
It's no wonder that you have trouble understanding the word fear, being as if you had any understanding of it at all, you would have made an entirely different film. This film is relentlessly terrifying.
Well,
It's not relentlessly terrifying. The moments of terror are interspersed with mild ennui.
And large refrigerators. Yeah.
Come away from the fridge. If it falls, it'll crush you flat.
Yeah. It's a shame to see an actress who was once in her prime this crippled by fear.
And yet still able to participate in dismal motion pictures.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah. And nothing is more depressing, too, than showing off her old headshots. Yeah, I tried to discourage this scene.
Well, I guess this is what happens when actresses participate in radical right-wing politics, that they end up as incapacitated as Miss Streep apparently is.
Yeah.
She should have sided with the good guys.
I guess so. Yeah, but lo and behold, and this is, it's just embarrassing. It's, I can ride a horse. I can fly a plane. I can be part of an unbelievably suspicious group of people. Wait a minute now. My prop master, Jerry Moss, gave me a spyglass, which, I did stick it in that earlier scene, but wow. They're all wearing those spyglasses.
I cannot believe that you would actually try to broadcast information about a secret organization within a dreadful film. That is adding insult to injury and perversion to perversion.
Well, there's no underlying suggestion of any organization in your books, is there? Just a random set of
I don't think I should answer that question into a microphone.
Okay. I took it at face value. A series of unfortunate events. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm sort of a strict constructionist as a director, and so I'm a little confused myself as to why those spyglasses just recurred. Well, the good news is they won't come back again at all in the film. Again, the more real estate being shown off.
Also, I think this might be an opportune moment to point out the music that I've been hearing during the film, composed by, I would think, based on its melodic structure, Mr. Thomas Newman, who's a composer I admire very much. Why he would attach his name to a motion picture like this will be a mystery that I will possibly not have time to solve given my schedule this week.
I can give a little bit of a glimpse of enlightenment. I do. You're right. It is Mr. Newman. I'm not above hoodwinking somebody, and I think he believed he was coming in to score another Nickelodeon film, SpongeBob SquarePants. But he.
You're a bottomless well of treachery, Mr. Silberling.
Have to be.
You think that an actress such as Meryl Streep would finally snap while playing Aunt Josephine and wish that she could get out of the predicament that she was in.
Yeah.
And somehow, just say, I want to leave, or I don't like it here, or something like that.
Yeah. No, but I think she was, again...
There, she said it. Oh, God, I hate it here. And Emily Browning apparently ignored her and tried to just continue with the script.
Well, because she realized that Meryl did love realtors and realty, and I think she was... See, here we go. I'll never leave this place. I love realtors. I want to be one.
I'm terrified of realtors.
What?
I told you, she's terrified of realtors. If you had read even one page of these dreadful books before making them into a film, you...
Oh, my God. Oh, that's why she screamed.
Were you even around when this film was made?
Yeah, she was very disappointed in the craft service that day. I thought that there was an issue, and hence her scream. I see now. Yeah. yeah, I felt a little embarrassed here. I mean, the actor portraying the grocer, a lovely man from New England named Lenny Clark. I hated that she. This was. Yeah. Do you know Captain Sham? He's a really fine.
Captain Sham is as phony as Stefano. How many times must I tell you, Mr. Silberling? Count Olaf is a villain. He disguises himself as different people, and Jim Carrey, apparently in the spirit of that, is now here disguised as Count Olaf, disguised as Captain Sham.
An actor from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Captain Sham. I had his headshot. I don't know what you're talking about.
A headshot is not proof of anything in the world. Anyone can have their head shot. I don't know why you would giggle at something like that. There's something very wrong with you. You're an amnesiac, you're delusional, you're treacherous, you're a liar. You seem at one hand to be determined to put every miserable moment of the Baudelaire's lives on the screen. On the other hand, you seem to have no more than a passing resemblance to what actually happened to the Baudelaires.
Well, you figure it's a bunch of happy accidents. That's what every good film is. And
I think this film is neither happy nor an accident. I think it's something dreadful on purpose.
I am fascinated.
A happy accident is when a jar of caviar falls into your lap. This is more like when an angry sturgeon is placed in your bed by someone who wants to kill you via fish bite.
Point taken. I'm still dumbfounded, though. Gosh, Jim, I have to call Jim Carrey. And
I don't think you're dumbfounded. I think the word for what you are is considerably shorter than dumbfounded.
We really have to pay this guy. I was impressed. I thought it was the shortest schedule for a leading actor I'd ever seen, and that we really committed to some discoveries. I thought this fellow Sham showed some promise. Originally, this was a 4-line scene. We committed to go deeper. I mean, look at Meryl. Meryl was very convinced. I'm not the only one. She's buying the whole thing. Oh, come on. That's just good work.
I don't think so. I think Meryl Streep is playing Aunt Josephine as best she can and is falling for Count Olaf's ruse. It's just a dreadful thing to see on screen. I think if anyone is still watching the film at this point, and I can't imagine that they are, this would be an excellent time to, particularly if you're at home with your DVD player hooked up to a television, to change the channel, to turn off to switch from VCR or DVD mode to television and just see if there's something pleasant on. Some sort of a situation comedy involving a family who has comic misunderstandings, or a documentary on a part of the world to which you have not been, or perhaps one of those informational commercials, or as they're abbreviated, infomercials, where they could see something far more interesting and far less upsetting than this film.
How about some harsh? Some harsh weather? Perhaps that'd be of interest, because
and
I actually
troop members appear to be lurking about.
Yes, absolutely. I took it upon myself to there you go. There was reference to Hurricane Herman. I just couldn't help but take advantage of that, and so before
take advantage of everything. You've taken advantage of your actors. You've taken advantage of your crew. You've taken advantage of me by locking me in this room and forcing me to watch this film. You've taken advantage of people who go to movies expecting to be entertained, or purchase a DVD for home entertainment so that they might be entertained without putting on shoes. You've taken advantage of everyone.
Thank you. Coming from you, that's high praise. I greatly appreciate that. Anyway, this seemed like a perfectly appropriate way to go out at the end of the picture. A nice suicide moment of gravitas. The end.
So you changed the story so that Aunt Josephine actually went out the window? Why would you do such a thing?
Well, how could she survive
As if suicide isn't attractive enough to people anywhere without an additional film advertising the appeal of taking your own life.
Yeah, we had some trouble in the testing process. I guess you may be right. I just didn't understand how she could survive a fall that great, frankly. Thank
goodness it was the Baudelaires and not you who found the real Aunt Josephine's suicide note, and thank goodness it was Emily Browning and Lee Macon and not you who found the filmic version of the note so that they could decode it and rescue Meryl Streep from what is presumably a very damp set someplace.
It's funny because you're right. I don't even remember shooting this. I guess, oh, now wait a second. That's right. That's right. They insisted on rereading this letter over and over and over, and I didn't understand why. It's all coming clear to me now. Fascinating. And so when he went into this trance, this wasn't any suggestion of a learning disorder. This was...
It's a wonder any actor will ever work with you again the way you insult them so cavalierly in DVD commentary tracks.
God, I just... it's great to make discoveries about your...
You'll have to work with Marlee Matlin. You'll only have to work with deaf actors who have not heard DVD commentary tracks and so don't know the viciousness of your alleged wit.
That's a really good suggestion, actually. I have to think about that and putting the next picture together. Now it all makes sense. Boy. Yeah. Very inventive, these names, by the way. Curdled Cave. Oh yeah, don't worry.
Dear, I'm sorry
else is
that
going to happen. Oh, shit.
Rick Heinrich didn't
Yeah.
have the skill to keep his set.
Yeah. No.
I'm so utterly befuddled now by what actually happened on the set, as you claim, and what is merely a dramatic depiction of certain events in the lives of the Baudelaires. And what, as this is some tangent entirely of the invention of the screenwriter, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, he was fascinated, and I guess we all shared that fascination with the sense of fire, and, well, yeah, and then unfortunately, you're right, Rick's house, the set didn't hold. It didn't hold. Yeah, well, there was that, too.
It is a shame your fascination with the real estate profession did not extend to constructing a house that could withstand the false storm your effects people tried to...
We did get a decent insurance claim this day, though. I mean, that fridge alone was worth, well, I don't want to rub it in.
Her spoon collection.
Yeah.
Her desk.
Yeah, everything went. And the appliances. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean... Yeah, well, now I get it. I see. And I don't know...
What is that duck doing there?
It was, again, in Downey for some reason, the city of Downey. It's a safe haven for ducks. We were fascinated to find that duck out of work.
So you destroyed a bird sanctuary while making this film, among other atrocities.
Yep, absolutely. It was zoned for work, and, you know, frankly, I mean, it's not like they put ducks in commercials or anything like that. The ducks don't usually get work, so it was sort of appropriate here.
There is no end to your wickedness.
No. But at least we kept the kids safe, and we certainly didn't put them at any great risk of heights.
I suppose that is a small thing to be grateful for.
Oh, but there was...
Oh.
Yeah.
My word.
Yeah. There was that. But, you know, safety...
I cannot imagine how Emily Browning and Lee Macon and two alternating twins are going to get out of this scenario. If it were a dramatization of the books, it would be one thing because Violet Baudelaire would be able to invent something. But if this is, as you claim, an accident that happened on the set, then I can't imagine what Emily Browning is going to do.
Yeah. No, don't know where that anchor came from.
If you've been trained in the theatrical arts, I mean, it doesn't seem that you would know a lot about the basic properties of physics and...
Well, and she was Australian, too, so she had that handicap. But
I think the Australian aspect is irrelevant. I know the water goes down a different way down the drain, but I don't think a wheel operates any differently.
Yeah, I just thought this was the kids again. Let's improv a scene. They kept saying, "Brad, give us a chance to improv," and this is what they came up with. I'm still a little confused by. Oh. Okay now. See, you make... You make discoveries about your own films. Weeks,
What has happened to
months.
Sunny? She just looks like a small hooded object.
She got very quiet for a while that day. Oh, and then the house went. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My word.
Yeah, exactly. No, there are moments where if you don't really look carefully, Sunny can seem to be almost just a nice little bag of flour covered by. But wait, where do I know that description from? No.
You certainly wouldn't know it from my book,
No.
The Austere Academy, being as you won't admit to have read any of my work.
No. Could not have heard that. I think I must have dreamed it up.
Time and time again, you have promised me that this film would be pleasant, and time again, you promised me that the film was almost over.
Here we go. Beautiful little travelogue to take us out to end credits. See, the sun is shining.
I don't think I believe you anymore. I don't think the end credits are ever going to come. I think I will be stuck here forever, watching an endless film. I think Gandhi will look like a short station identification break next to the length of this picture.
Well, put it this way, I had a wealth of material to work from, and that was just from the first introduction of the first book. So, oh yes, this is again, you wouldn't expect to find natural structures like this in the city of Downey, but the kids kept saying, "It looks like Curdled Cave."
No,
It
it's
looks like
true.
Curdled
Southern
Cave.
California is not known for its spelunking opportunities. And I cannot imagine where such formations would occur in the California area.
No. I did tell Liam.
California is more known for its forestry, the redwood forests, and for its dishonesty.
We got to take advantage of at least one of those aspects in the film.
Once again, you're proving yourself to be an adept person at taking advantage of any opportunity that comes your way to fuel your hunger to put dreadful images on the silver screen.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. We were pretty proud of this. Though Meryl seemed to have a cold through the end of this part of the production, and I don't know she did.
What a state she is in.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I wouldn't even let Roy. She has a phenomenal hairdresser and stylist with her, Roy, and I just I couldn't help myself. This was the day I wouldn't let him near her. I don't know why.
She looks actually on the verge of hysteria.
Yeah.
Well, so? How do you expect us to live in this cave if you didn't bring any food?
Yeah. There you go.
Live in the cave?
So you're saying that this is not actually a scene in your dramatization, but this is Meryl Streep wanting to live in a cave in order to escape you?
Yeah, in Downey.
Is this your claim?
Yeah. I actors do tend to fall in love with, it's a little bit like the Stockholm Syndrome with their captors, or in some cases with the sets which keep them captive. And Meryl, I tried to be polite. I said, listen, New York City's a great place to live. You've got a nice family back home, husband who's a sculptor, good people. She just wouldn't leave. This again. Now, if you're going to get big numbers and score well when you test a film, you make sure you end it with a beautiful little trip in a boat in the water. So this is where we chose to end the film.
You have stooped to such dishonesty. I cannot hope to believe you. I'm just now praying that what happens in the books, that is, the arrival of the lachrymose leeches, has been omitted from the film due to the overall ineptitude of your own direction.
Well, there was a budget consideration, and
I would think so. The leech trainers, the leech keepers, everything you would need even to try and duplicate even a single image of the lachrymose leeches.
Sure, and then of course,
unless you would resort to computers in which the whole thing would look sort of fake.
Yeah. No. No, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, honestly not skilled enough to actually create them. So we were at a little bit of a loss.
No, I don't think it's a loss. I think it's a mercy.
Well, okay, I'll take that to heart. I did feel like it was going to be a bit of a trespass if we didn't try to find some way to bring the little buggers into the picture. But you know, you can't succeed on every point. And oh, wait a minute.
Oh, you lied to me again. Not the leeches, I cannot imagine it.
Yeah.
I cannot look, and in order to blot out the sound of leeches appearing in a film, I will have to resort to drastic measures, in order to blot out the dreadful sound, and I think I will play the accordion. I will close my eyes and play a musical instrument known as the accordion rather than view or hear one frame of this particular sequence of this awful film. Leeches should not appear in a film. Leeches are dreadful. And a villain named Olaf is worse than some leeches. It's dreadful, dreadful, dreadful.
Do you have representation?
I do, actually. A man named Daniel Handler tends to represent me when I don't have the fortitude to show up in certain situations, and, well, I wish this were one of the situations in which Daniel Handler was appearing for me.
I have to be honest, because to be completely, not to take anything away from Mr. Newman, but I would have contracted with you to, honestly, to score this film.
Had I known the overall quality of the motion picture, I would have refused outright. But I suppose you would have used some dishonesty or blackmail, as you have for all the cast and crew to participate in such a dismal project.
Well, there are moments of honesty that would peek through. I certainly assured Meryl she would live on to see many potential sequels. Josephine, of course, happily skipping.
Assuring that an actor survives a particular photo shoot, I don't think is considered an act of generosity, even in Hollywood. Actors are generally, they would like to survive every motion picture that they make.
Yeah. Well, at least I gave her... Oh. Well, yeah, this was a moment where I had to explain to Meryl why she was being left alone. Yeah, and why her boat magically disappeared. That was a moment of sparing some carnage from the audience.
I would say the death of Aunt Josephine is known for being particularly unpleasant, and it is a mercy that you, for once working within the traditional morality of Hollywood, chose to make a less upsetting scene than what was required.
Yeah. The near drowning sequence following it, though, here I'm very proud of. And Cedric, well, Mr. the Entertainer.
Oh, Mr. the Entertainer is back.
Yes, he is. Bringing a touch of the urban flair to the film.
I assume you're using urban in its recent transformation as being a euphemism for black. I don't know if that's become a euphemism for black in all of its definitions, so that you would say, my word, what a remarkable ebony letter opener. It's simply urban in its color, or whether it would just apply to African Americans.
Yeah.
I've always been suspicious of that term, as I tend to be an urban person myself, and yet have been Caucasian for nearly all of my life.
Well, one would never know, though. This is what I guess I'm trying to explain about constantly living in silhouette, not revealing yourself to your readership.
Just because I don't want to face you and get any closer to you than I already am should not be interpreted to me that I don't want to get close to anybody. It is you, sir, the director of this dismal film, the man known now for your dishonesty and treachery, and it is all on the record here in a DVD commentary. And you promised me this wasn't in the film.
The accordion, I know. I
No! The entire theatrical profession. Now, I've heard a rumor that in a scene somewhere you can see a very famous actor playing a cameo.
No.
At this particular moment.
No.
I don't see anyone there.
No, exactly. I please, you have to.
I guess it must have referred to Luis Guzman, who was playing the bald man. He's scarcely in the film, it seems.
Boy, and let me tell you, I every day he was there, I referred to him as Mr. Guzman. Was very, very proud to have him take part. Oh, see, there he is. I said, excuse me, could you get out of the way, Jim? I need to speak to Mr. Guzman. Yeah, definitely. Quite a fine man. Now,
I can't understand why someone of Mr. Guzman's talents would agree to play a henchman of Count Olaf. Oh, and Catherine O'Hara after a long absence is back in the film.
Yeah, we thought we would give her this extra scene. Justice Strauss, of course, just being a tangential character in your first book. We thought we would create an extra scene.
She's a key character. Just the idea that you would limit her role makes me feel a bit nauseous, actually. I hope that's not a nausea that would spread to anyone.
I thought we were being quite generous. Yeah. And
now Catherine O'Hara is actually looking a bit nauseous.
Yeah. Getting acting tips from Count Olaf, it tends to have that. Yeah, that's true. We did have emotion.
Oh, now she is off.
Yeah.
To vomit, thankfully off screen.
Yeah.
So you've now returned to the storyline of The Bad Beginning in an attempt to further bewilder and upset your viewers.
Yeah. Well, again, you follow history. You figure a marriage at the end of any story is a really strong, it's a strong paradigm. So we thought, let's end the picture happily. There's not a big age discrepancy between Count Olaf and Violet Baudelaire.
Are you out of your mind? There is quite an age discrepancy. Even in the most lenient of Mormon communities, a marriage between Count Olaf and Violet Baudelaire would be frowned upon. I'm only grateful that Jim Carrey and Emily Browning were not forced to be married in any sort of unearthly ceremony you would dream up in the realms of your deluded Hollywood mind.
No. Well, there was this sort of Jerry Lee Lewis draft of the screenplay, which we considered, but no, we did figure we would end the film prior to actually seeing the marvelous marriage.
Time and time again, you are dangling the finish of this film in front of me when I think all of us know now that we're in for what is probably several more hours of whatever unnatural elements the director has chosen to put on the screen.
And just think, with the power of DVD, every moment that we couldn't actually work into this 4-hour version of the film will be certainly available to be viewed. Yeah.
It's a sad fact of DVD technology that now there is so much upsetting footage for people to look at, and the upsetting footage of this film, I think, would probably be just about last on the list of things anyone would want to see.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I would rather see unused footage from Showa than see even one single scene from this film.
It's a very good idea. I think I may have some disk space left on my second disc. That's a fabulous idea. Interesting.
I'm now afraid to say anything out loud at all for fear that it will be used by the man who has imprisoned me here.
No, Mr. Snicket, you are clearly thinking in the Hollywood term synergistically. I'm very impressed with that. It's a very generous.
There are enough words in the English language without using words that don't exist at all. That's how I feel about the word synergistically.
Boy, it's tossed around all the time.
Even the actors playing the Baudelaires are seeming to give up at this point.
So this was our end credit sequence, and we thought we would go out with a curtain part, names come up, and oh, no, wait a second. That's right.
Oh, I knew it.
We
the entire
staged-
performance of the play is in this film.
Yeah.
And now Klaus is apparently running off and trying to rescue Sonny. In the book, of course, it is Violet, but I know that Hollywood prefers its female actresses to do very little.
So right you are. No, we were very intrigued by the idea of her potentially having to go through with this marriage, and knew that would play popularly in many of the states in this country. So we thought we would give this task to Klaus. Yeah, and having to act side by side with the mannequins, something actually Jane Addams and Jennifer Coolidge really excited by.
A bad film containing bad theater is like a horrible Pandora's box, or like some dismal painting in which terrible images unfold upon terrible images. I cannot imagine anything more dastardly unless, of course, within the play, within the film, there's some awful TV show or ballet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why we were. I think we were very economical in our use of Jim Carrey, and didn't ask him to. Again, this other fellow showed up with a wig on.
That is Jim Carrey. Once more, how many times do I have to identify the central actor in your terrible film? The idea that you don't even know yourself when Mr. Carrey appears on screen is testament to your complete lack of skill as a filmographer.
Oh, this fellow showed up and said he had tremendous sword skills, and had done some fabulous hair product commercials. I thought, why not? Let's see. We don't have Jim anymore. We couldn't afford him.
I hate to think of the aspiring actors in the audience for this DVD commentary who are learning that they can merely show up at a film set, announce skills, and find themselves in the starring role.
Absolutely.
That would explain the careers of certain actors, of course. They were just people who showed up.
Yeah, that's the little known secret. All you have to do is show up. Yeah, absolutely no skills required. It's something we try not to tell the general public. Or LA would be a very popular place. There would be traffic jams. There'd be there'd be smog in LA if people actually knew that's all they had to do. Or be willing to marry men vastly older than them on stage in a movie. That wig just I marvel at the patience of actors to actually wear synthetics. Now, interesting. The you, in the publication of your first installment of the bad beginning of your investigations, given that again they were just that, they were actual investigations. Interesting how you didn't have to suffer any of the sort of politically correct concerns that certainly filmmakers have to go through in terms of staging a marriage. So this was...
Well, if you write a nonfiction book, as I've written nonfiction books about the Baudelaires, then there's no need to argue over what did happen and what didn't happen. You simply go and research it, as opposed to your film, where any lousy idea that popped into your head, you just throw upon the screen for anyone to gasp at.
Yeah.
I am grateful, however, that you managed to get at least one of the twins not to be trapped in a cage. So there's only one of the two twins playing Sonny who is trapped in there. I guess the favorite was allowed to remain out of the cage.
Yeah. Well, I have to break it to you. We not only I not only entrapped both, but there is a moment where I don't know. There was a term that was thrown around at one point. A fellow named Kevin Yeager showed up and said, "Hi, I'm the king of animatronics," and it sounded very musical to me. I didn't quite know what he meant, but all I know is when I said "good for you," some little creature showed up, looking awfully like the Hoffman twins, like our young actresses, and she was put into a dress, and I was told she was an animatronic, Sonny. And so I'll point her out to you. I think
This is a long, incomprehensible, and scarcely believable story.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for that. Emily Browning, once again showing in Australia, they have no cursive writing skills. This was supposed to have been a speedy action sequence as I originally conceived it, and she
does seem to be taking her time signing her name, although one cannot imagine her signing it enthusiastically.
I guess not. No. Interesting.
If I were being forced to marry Jim Carrey, I would also sign my name very slowly. Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just couldn't really kind of commit to this sort of bucolic wedding.
Oh,
Yeah.
a fight sequence and the baby back out the window?
Yes, the animatronic baby, by the way. And at last the girl finished signing that name. Yeah. And then, of course, we decided we'd do a Radio Shack commercial in the middle of this walkie-talkie tie-in. But, that never quite came through. I just offered that one up to everybody. Oh, of course. And then, once again, she went off book. It's exhausting for a
all of the
director.
actors trapped in a film like this. One can hardly blame them for going a bit batty.
Yeah. Well, that was originally conceived as a 29-day shooting schedule, a reasonable film schedule for many Hollywood pictures.
Well, I hope in the end no one was shot and that you merely filmed some of the things rather than shooting these innocent actors. But
Yeah.
now as the film draws to what I can only pray is its actual close, when you look at all of these actors and see Timothy Spall here, he'll never work again after appearing in a film like this. Liam Aiken, he must be quite depressed. Mr. the Entertainer, he'll never be in a film again.
Yeah,
That Spire, that will never appear in a film again.
never.
Jim Carrey, he never seemed particularly hinged at all, and now he's clearly gone quite mad. And of course, poor Emily Browning.
Yeah.
She looks feverish with those spots upon her face, and there was probably actual illness going on as well. She was so upset about it.
I can't wait to tell Jim about this actor at the end of the picture, though.
I cannot tell you any more times that this principal actor is Jim Carrey.
But that would be
Even as he enacts something that is, of course, not to be found in any of my books or probably in real life, surely you can recognize that. That is Jim Carrey.
I just thought he was.
That is the man we know and some of us love in various Jim Carrey films.
I thought I had just hired an arsonist for the day, who could suffer the consequences. I guess. Well, that's a stunning makeup job. Then that is a stunning piece of makeup and hair work. I have to say, I'll have to hire the people who did that work at some point on another film. Fascinating. Boy. Count Olaf was captured.
Oh, so you did put a happy ending on it after all.
I forgot to tell you that when you first came in.
And what is going on now?
Oh, well, he's being punished, of course. For every single... Can you not see the parallels, the filmic parallels to earlier moments?
Well, I'm not actually in favor of this sort of punishment in a legal setting.
Oh, it's an eye for an eye.
Eaten by leeches?
Sure.
The long experiment with the medical use of leeches was a disaster, so as a judiciary matter, it seems...
No. It seemed like, you want a successful film, you end with your villain captured.
Well,
and
my hat
certainly
is
not.
off to you for
Thank you.
providing a happy ending,
Thank
because I
you.
certainly think that anyone who prefers a sad ending to a fictional tale is hopelessly deluded. And even in the case of the books about the Baudelaires, which are, of course, true stories, there's no reason to keep the sad ending intact when making a film, as long as people understand that the film is completely inaccurate, and in this case, a hopeless mess of unfortunate imagery and sad events.
Yeah, and
And I understand this was released during what we euphemistically call the holidays, during the end of the year, when
yeah.
people are looking back at their own 12 months and wondering what went wrong and how they could find themselves so miserable, or celebrating the birthday of a man who was nailed up to something for no apparent reason, or
yeah.
celebrating a military victory of the Jewish people, or celebrating any number of holidays that are happening there, and that you would then put this film in theaters.
Sure. I think you get people...
When the weather, at least in this hemisphere, is so very dreadful, and people might flee indoors, seeking shelter, only to find a film like this.
Sure. You get them when they're vulnerable. That's what, frankly, you do. And I think it was with those holidays in mind that I decided to create this image, a moment of happiness, which I then wanted to deconstruct as quickly as possible. I was quite proud of this. Just take any shred of hope and...
Life is often like this, that you believe you are in a pleasantly decorated, intact room, but that actually it has been completely destroyed. For instance, I thought I was going to some sort of pleasant lunch appointment, only to find myself captured and dragged into this dark room, where I was forced to endure what I think is one of the most depressing films of all time, matched only by certain films of Ingmar Bergman, or Nosferatu, or Ishtar, or any number of very, very, very sad films.
Well, that's... Again, I know the DVD audience cannot see me blushing, but this is high praise, and I take that to heart. It's also...
And I know that the DVD audience cannot see me banging my fists upon the door of this place and hoping to be let out.
Well, after about 2 years of attempting to finally have an audience with you, I'm sorry it's been through sort of duplicitous means.
I don't think you're sorry at all. If you were to start apologizing for your recent work in motion pictures, there would be no end to your apologies. You would have to apologize for every frame of this film, and then we would have to look through your previous filmography for depressing elements, such as a young woman dying of an unspeakable crime and a family wandering around mourning it, or people dying and coming back to birth as angels and trying to guide some romantic comedy to a satisfying conclusion, or perhaps even a young boy who becomes a ghost, albeit a friendly ghost, and decides to wander around a mansion haunting people. You should apologize for everything you've ever done, sir, not only for abducting me under dishonest circumstances and forcing me to watch this film, but for your entire career, for every last film that you have ever made, for every thought that you have thought, for every book that you have picked up and decided not to read, but instead to transmute into a film. You, sir, are an unspeakable cad and should apologize at once in the few moments we have as this irrational and allegedly happy ending is broadcast on the film for all to see. Please, sir, apologize right now.
I just have to ask you, are there more books available?
Please, sir, apologize right now. The microphone is right in front of your lips.
I take it as nothing but a badge of honor to have so faithfully tried to execute this motion picture.
Yes, you've tried to execute this author, is what you've tried to do.
And done so happily. So happily. I did promise not to bring... Oh, well, yeah, the spyglass, we did have a spare sitting around, and you have to justify the cost of these props. But back to the larger accusations, I do thank you. And look forward to hearing about these other stories. So you have written more than the first 3 books?
No, I'm going to ignore your accusations entirely, but if you're not going to apologize, then I hope that you will allow me to apologize to those who, for some reason, are also trapped in a room under dishonest circumstances and also find themselves watching this movie and hopefully listening to my pleas for mercy on the DVD commentary. I would like to apologize to you. When I started writing books about the Baudelaires, I viewed it like the phone book. It was important information, but nothing that anyone should read all the way through, and certainly it was never my intention that any film would be made. And now that I've seen it, I would say that despite it being considerably shorter than reading all of my books, it is 10 times more miserable and just a dreadful, dreadful piece of work. And I would like to apologize for anyone who has accidentally or on purpose viewed this film, and I hope that you'll accept my apology as being sincere and heartfelt and find it in your heart not only to forgive me, but to rescue me from the situation in which I am now so that I don't find myself unconscious as we see 3 children in the closing shot of this film unconscious in the back of a stranger's car.
Well, I will free you with 2 words. They are 2 fine words of the English language. They are, yes, there you have it. And we didn't even have enough money to keep that backing. Not a moment longer. They're harsh at Paramount Studios. I don't know who he is either.
Oh, the captain loved the ladies, but he dragged himself a wife. Now he's wishing he was fishing, but he's on the hook for life. Well, I guess he shouldn't have ordered, but he drowned her in the water, and then a flounder down her. That's why they